We got Asaf just joining us. The show's just getting started, my friend. Good to see you. I'm really looking forward to having a wonderful conversation, you guys. But let's get this introduction out of the way. For those who don't know, THORChain is the world's leading Bitcoin DEX. You can swap 13 different blockchains across 41 different pools without using bridges or wrapped tokens. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org, swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There's no account to open, no KYC required, and privacy is a human right. THORChain has two tokens, Rune and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in Rune, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from the swap, so you don't need to own Rune to trade on THORChain. The Rune token is currently deflationary as 5% of the fees are burned. 10% of protocol fees goes to TCY token holders. Remember to stake the TCY tokens in order to collect that yield. There are no block rewards on THORChain. The protocol's fees are real money paid by real users. THORChain, you guys, is more than just a DEX. It is a programmable layer 1 with the ability to create decentralized apps on it. This app layer is being developed by Rujira. If you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram group. Links for those are on thorchain.org, thorchain.org. And please, guys, follow THORChain on Facebook and Instagram, THORChain Contact on TikTok. We need 1,000 followers to live stream on those platforms. And always remember, guys, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The THORChain community does not endorse, condone illicit activity of any kind. With that being out of the way, you guys, what's going on, everyone? My name's Denny. Go by Patriot Sounds online. It's great to see everybody. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to my man, Kenton. He's got a little marketing up to us. How you doing, Kenton?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, man. And first, Asaf, thanks for joining us. But if you don't mind, I'll do a little marketing update here for everybody before we get to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. A community member posted an issue with Binance Wallet flagging swap.thorchain.org is like a malicious site. And so thanks for letting us know. And I did some digging with Binance's support, and I think I got it fixed. I think it's removed. And part of that process, on their flag, their warning, and in the footers is powered by Go Plus and Scam Sniffer. And so I went digging on those websites to see if THORChain is listed on those sites, and it wasn't. It's not. The swap.thorchain.org is not listed on those sites. So we're okay there. So I don't know where Binance was getting their malicious feed from, data. And so I'm guessing their blacklist is kind of a bit manual. So maybe they're blocking any sites that look similar to the blacklists on Go Plus and Scam Sniffer. That's the best I can come up with. And maybe this is the issue we're finding with the antivirus programs and other platforms will sometimes block STO, warning users there might be something wrong with the site. So I'm going around these different platforms trying to see where THORChain.org, where the domain is blacklisted. I actually can't find it. When I look up there's other ways to look up websites. We get a really good ranking. The THORChain domain is actually ranked quite safe. So, but what I'm going to do is that Scam Sniffer they've got on GitHub, I think it is. They've got a list of all the domains they blacklist, and there's like about 40 sites that are like quasi similar to THORChain, right? They're obviously they're phishing sites. So I'm going to hit the DNS, the registrar, the web host, Google, all these different platforms to make sure that these sites are taken down. They're not connected with us. And then maybe that'll help something. I don't know. But thanks, guys. Keep sending us to them if you get any malicious website warnings. And then also it really helps if you go into that on your setting, on your computer or phone, go to the support, submit a ticket, whatever, to flag that program that the site is not malicious. And the more people we have doing it, the better. So that's that. I'm still in touch with Market Across about PR and dealing with the hack, and they think it's going good. They say just the best thing to do is just be quiet. Like updating the community and stuff is good. We should keep doing that. but we don't need to be going out there and purposely like uh, raising a ruckus, trying to draw attention to it. And so it seems like it's fallen off the news cycle, which is good. And so kind of want to just let it let it simmer down. And then once trading gets resumed and we kind of get start putting this behind us, then we can get more on PR, just focusing on positive stuff, and basically not to lie, is just change people's focus, right? Stop looking at this and start looking over here, right? So I'm I think the community is pretty happy. Hopefully everyone is okay and good with the disclosure and whatnot. I think Chad, you've been doing a great job. We can get a bit more into that on this podcast. Um, but yeah, so I asked the social media guys just to be quiet on Twitter. Don't be bull posting, don't be trolling or anything like that. We just want to kind of keep a low profile for now. So if you notice the Twitter account is being quiet, it's on purpose. Um, so we're just posting updates, stuff about the hack and trading, and then these podcasts, and that's it. We're not trying to do any bull posting. It'd be I think that just looks kind of bad, for bull posting while we're paused. Um, um, so there's something I want to go over first before we get into the exploit. Um, this has been a little bit contentious in the community. Um, it's not something I want, but I'll be honest, guys, this is something I'm going to push through, and I hope to get by, and hope you guys agree with me. What I'm talking about is the TCY token logo, and it is completely different from Rune and THORChain, and it's not good. Like people are concerned that if we use the same logo between Rune and TCY, people will confuse the tokens. And I understand that, but they're spelled completely different. And so the point of a logo or a trademark is to have a brand that everything is connected in one, right? So we want people to think TCY is a part of THORChain, not separate and distinct and potentially a completely different project. So let me just kind of walk you through my reasoning when I'm talking about. Um, I'll share my screen. So let me know if you see my screen.
It's up. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. So this is our logo. The THORChain logo is the lightning bolt, right? And the what do you call it? The inverse. So the lightning bolt would fit in here. Um, so this is a logo for THORChain. This is a logo for Rune. We played around with doing it all green, and just it doesn't work, especially on a white background. It's just too yeah. And to be honest, if it was 100% up to me, I would say the logo would be exactly the same between THORChain, Rune, and TCY. And but just to try and make the community happy, uh, I figure we use blue for TCY, have a different color, but we got to use the same lightning bolt. Like this is the logo for THORChain. This is like the Nike swoosh, right? That like this is how you know you're dealing with THORChain. You're buying THORChain. You're investing in THORChain. You're a part of THORChain. We want people to think TCY is THORChain. We want people to think this is all the same. And just give you an example, Strategy, right? Michael Saylor's company. He has 5 different ticker symbols. You got the common shares. Stretch is his new preferred equity, which would be like TCY. TCY is like a preferred stock, right? And then you have the 3 bonds. Like these are all the exact same like logo. Look, the only thing different is how they're spelled. And so when you pull up Strategy on on TradingView, you can see all the 5 symbols here all have the exact same symbol. And this is true for like Google, Berkshire Hathaway, Heineken, Volkswagen, Samsung. The companies that have multiple share classes, like Class A, Class B shares, or preferred stock, or whatever, they use the exact same logo between all of them because they want to communicate. It's the same company. It's the same entity. Um, and the symbols are just spelled different. And even strategy, the STR is exactly the same. The only difference is the one letter at the end. And these guys have raised billions of dollars, right? So there's no one's getting them confused. So if it were totally up to me, I would make them all exactly the same, to be honest. But I'm listening to the community. I'm hearing them. I'm like, okay, you want some differentiation between TCY and Rune? I figure the colors, different colors are good. Um, so I've had a bunch of pushback on this. I want to bring it up. Hopefully I can get people to buy in. Maybe I'll stop there, see if you guys have any comments on
Well,
that.
I think it's, if it's just pragmatic, simple logic, if you have these multi-million, billion-dollar enterprises, these massive corporations that are using this, and they've been using it for what, a long time? I would say I've seen this almost everywhere for a very long time. It works clearly, right? So let's just do what they do. If they use it, that means it works. So I really don't see much. I think this is great. I think it's a really simple point you're bringing, and we don't want to. I think if we have different colors, it actually creates confusion because a lot of people are scared about impersonating like coins or impersonating things and all that stuff. And so if we keep it all the same, I think that'll build confidence and also just help spread the brand. So I think you're right on this, Kenton.
Yeah.
Does anyone else
Um,
have anything to say? I don't know. To me, this one's easy call.
okay. We'll see what the peanut gallery says after they listen to this and whatnot and get more comments in Telegram, Discord. Um,
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm fine with what you have in front of you right there,
okay. Um,
personally.
okay, cool. Then I do want to say one other thing while I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully this is less contentious. How do I go back? Um, uh, we got on STO different languages, and so we started with traditional Chinese, simple Chinese. What's this one? Korean, Russian, Spanish, uh, Persian, and Turkish, I believe. And I've actually got a list of like 20, 25 more languages to do. And um, we just converted, we just translated with AI. And then I want to share it with a bilingual human to take a look. Um, and at first I was thinking like maybe, we should get humans to do it first before going live. But I was thinking about it. If people of another language is using the site, they're just using AI in their browser translator to translate it anyway. So they're already using AI to do a rough translation. I'm like, well, then we may as well just make it a bit easier for them. And so I'm not as stressed about, if we don't have a perfect translation, or at least not yet until a human double checks it. Um, but the translation, the the some of the guys have done is pretty good from the languages they can cover and double check. Like the translation is actually excellent. So the real risk is that we get a translation wrong, somebody loses money somehow. And I don't know, I feel like there should be enough warnings and whatnot that I don't know how somebody would lose money. So I'm gonna go forward, move forward with the different languages, and then over time get humans to double check it. Um, um, yeah. So that's update from me, and maybe I guess Chad, maybe we'll pass it over to Asaf here to introduce himself and SodaLabs and what SodaLabs does with THORChain.
Um, yeah, thanks. So first of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm hearing some kind of. Do you are you hearing this background noise?
I think Chad, maybe. Okay, yeah, we're good now.
Okay. So thank you again for having me on the podcast. It's my first time. Really excited. Happy to be here. And I'll introduce myself first. My name is Asaf. I'm a software engineer, but I've been in the crypto space for the last 7 years. I think like the first thing I've delved into was layer one, building blockchains, and from my very first steps in the crypto space, I've been working very adjacently to cryptographers. Now, I know you discussed it in the last episode. I'm not a cryptographer myself. I'm a protocol security guy, protocol security engineer. But I do know how to talk about security. I do understand cryptography. I do understand cryptography, but when it comes to actual like auditing or actual exploit, I would defer to my CEO and the CTO. One of them the CEO might join our podcast in a while. Because they are actual cryptographers with advanced degrees, PhDs in cryptography, and we have other cryptographers on our team. You might recognize the name Yude Lindell from Coinbase. He's on our advisory board. So our firm is mainly a cryptography firm. I really liked Danny what you said in the beginning. Privacy is a human right. Because that's our other product. That's also what we do. We are doing security for blockchains. I personally helped develop what we call the GC EVM, which is an EVM with privacy baked right in. And we have another product called Bubble, which integrates with the EVM blockchains and allows you to basically have private transactions on like normal EVM, like Ethereum, Base, Arbitrum. You can you know, you can just do a regular Ethereum transaction to upload yourself into the bubble, and then you can do other private transactions. So like when you said privacy is a human right, that's like exactly how I feel. I feel actually that in the crypto space we have been the concept of learned helplessness, like the elephant that was tied when he was young to a small pole, and when he got older, like when he was young, he was not strong enough to yank away the pole. But when he got older, still yanked to the same small pole, and he learned that he cannot do it, so he does not try. I think we in the crypto space have some form of learned helplessness about when it comes to privacy, because we're like used to crypto being out there in the open, traceable, like actually a worse case than centralized finance if you think about it. Because if I do transactions and somebody knows my name, knows who I am, then my entire financial history is exposed. I might be able to pass from place to place, but if I could just have the privacy to perform transactions, like maybe there are many use cases like maybe auctions or gambling or whatever, something that you want maybe to also not disclose. You can't really have a game of cards played on the blockchain when everybody can see your cards. So and other use cases that are like more serious, like firms do not want to telegraph their financial decisions or their financial moves or market moves by exposing with whom they do business. So all of those are stuff that really I think prevent adoption in the crypto space. Like for me, I believe this, like we are building the mainstream financial system of the future. Like this is not like an alternative system. This is going to be the mainstream system. This is the alternative would be centralized. So you cannot have adoption of crypto as the mainstream without having privacy. So that's like the bread and butter of SodaLabs. SodaLabs, by the way, yeah.
It's
Sorry.
great, Asaf. So I interrupt you quick. On our intro, I was trying to clean it up a bit and make it a bit shorter, and I deleted that section privacy is a human right. And Denny's like, I like
Oh,
that. I want to keep that, but put it back in. So we put it back in. So thank you for liking it. You made Denny's day, I'm sure. Glad we kept it. And I'm glad you believe in privacy too.
I have to
yeah.
say right now, I don't know how you guys are configured on the screen, but this is bothering me, is we have Asaf in the top left corner, and everyone's facial hair gets progressively less, and then it gets to me, and there's like no facial hair. So I'm feeling like an unborn baby right now. You know what I mean? I just had to say that to get it off my chest, okay? So I shouldn't have shaved. Now I feel emasculate. But thank you for saying that, Asaf. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Carry on, guys.
thanks for saying that. So we've been also doing THORSec for the last months. I think more than half a year now. I think we started August, September. So we've been on the THORSec team ever since. So like security is our like second occupation. We have been securing our own blockchain, the GCAVM, our own contracts for a while now. I've been working before I went into crypto. I've been working with the security adjacent technology, and right now we are securing THORChain, which is, I must say, the intersection of of bad conditions for security. It's like most hacks, most funds stolen in the crypto space have been from like bridges. Also, we are open source. Code is available for everybody, and also we have anonymous participants. We are decentralized. We are censorship resistant. Everybody can join, and we are also allowing anonymity, which I think is a good practice. I really like it. But if you consider the intersection of all these conditions, that's challenging. But yeah, that's what we do.
Love it. I love it, man.
So how do
Go
you
ahead.
when you said THORSec, just for the listeners, THORChain security is what that is
Yeah,
short for.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so how does that work, Asaf? Are you reacting to problems, or are you actively trying to prevent problems?
So in general, we are doing both. Like we're not only reacting. Like when I say also reacting, I consider like finding like security research, like finding existing vulnerabilities and fixing them. As a part of the reactiveness. Like we have to. It's actually proactive because we scan, but vulnerabilities, if they exist in our code, we have to fix them. That's like we are reacting to something that exists in our code base, and we have been patching up a lot of stuff. Most of the time, if it's small enough and unexploitable, we do it publicly, but some of the time, a lot of the times, we do it privately. But the other part is being proactive, and that's like you don't know what you're up against. You don't know what the next vulnerability would be, and you try to mitigate. You try to mitigate as much of it as you can. Like one of these things is something Chad suggested a few months ago. We are working on right now is the circuit breaker for if invariants break with that like automatic circuit breaker. So if we have like some sort of breach and breaks invariants, we're just like we're gonna do the halt automatically, and then we're gonna jump up and consider like start scanning and realizing what happened, if it's a false alarm or not. But that's like that's meant to be like some sort of proactive defense against whatever may come.
So shoot, I thought of something I wanted. I was listening. I thought of a follow-up question, and it slipped my mind. Um, we're talking about proactive. What you're doing? Oh, Hugin, that's right. Yeah. So Chad
Yeah.
talks a lot about Hugin and using AI to be proactive to try and find holes in THORChain. Does SodaLabs, do you guys have an AI agent that you use, or have you been applying AI to THORChain?
Yeah. Of course, we like if you don't use AI in our days, like it's you are at a very big disadvantage. So we are using AI all the time, but you know there are things that are outside of AI's capabilities at the moment. I don't know what would happen next year or next 2 years, but very advanced cryptography is sometimes out of reach for normal models. When I say normal, I'm talking about like Opus 4.7, which I consider to be the best. But it's not like maybe Mythos that is not generally accessible. So currently, if you think about it, AI can be very helpful in traversing code bases. It can be very helpful at detecting stuff that should not be there. But not everything is possible to prove or to find with AI. Chad, is it you the some sort of background noise? The,
I don't know. Like I have headphones in. I'm not sure. Let
okay,
me switch my headphones.
now it's mitigated. So that's like if you want, we can talk about the latest exploit. Why and why this was outside of AI's capabilities.
Yeah, the great segue. Yeah, that was yeah. We'd love to talk about the exploit from your point of view, and maybe I'll just ask my question
But
now. Is that I keep wondering if Mythos was leaked because these
Uh,
last 2 months we've seen so many exploits like every day, sometimes twice a day, and I'm like, this hasn't been happening in crypto before. Like it'd be one exploit a month, one every couple months.
yeah,
Um,
I would say it's like Opus 4.7 and ChatGPT 5.5 are both very good models that are better than its predecessor. They're becoming more commonly used tools for both blue team people like SodaLabs and red team people who are trying to destroy or take over or steal or whatever. Mythos, I haven't had a chance to look at for obvious reasons. From everything I've heard, it's pretty good. Although I did hear from there's a famous command line tool called curl. I was listening to that guy who maintains that code base. It's been around for like since the 1970s or whatever. And he requested, curl to be, access to Mythos for curl. And since it's so utilized by every Linux system across the entire world, like it's such an important piece of software. It's just in the critical path of so much. They approved it, but they didn't approve him. And so they approved that they would look at his open source curl code base, like somebody on the, Anthropic side would do it for him. And they did find one exploit that wasn't discovered before, but he wasn't too impressed by it. So I've heard like from a few different sources that like it's really amazing, and it's also like meh, it's pretty good. It's like it's hard until I get my hands on the model, and I'm sure Asaf is the same way. We don't really quite know, but I would say though, like one of the things I've heard about it is that it's very good at concatenating issues together. Like because sometimes and we saw this, one of the exploits in THORChain's history in 21 was like it was a concatenation of a few different bugs individually, not that big of a deal if you saw it like, oh, that's probably like a priority 4 or priority 3, maybe, like just not that big of a deal. But then when you combine it with a few more things, then it becomes an issue, right? And so that sometimes is the case. And supposedly Mythos is really good at that, of actually just finding separate issues and then figuring out a way to piece them together in a more powerful kind of like orientation, if you want to call it that. And that's definitely, been the case in our recent situation. And I don't know if Mythos was involved or was not involved. Obviously, I have no ability to say either direction, but it would make sense to me if it was, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I really like what you said, Chad, about how multiple vulnerabilities that you can look at them and say this is never going to get utilized. This discovery is never going to get exploited. But once the attacker can find and chain together several vulnerabilities that each of them can be like benign, but together they become monstrous. That's where the hacks happen, and that's like also that's some of the explanation about what actually happened right now in the latest hack, because there was talk about the CVE that was disclosed about I think the exploit name is Bitforge. Bitforge has two security assumptions. One of them is the PAE key encryption, there is another assumption. So the PAE key assumption was broken, but the other one wasn't. So basically, what it says is that this is why it wasn't exploitable until now. What changed now? Somebody had figured out two more cryptographic conditions that were not pre-disclosed or any like common knowledge. Figured it out probably themselves. Like I think that involved the cryptographic research. It took our team sometimes to validate. And we have like very advanced cryptographers. So I think the attacker did have some capability that I'm not sure like a computer, like not a computer, an AI model. I'm not sure that this is yet in his scope. I'm not sure that it wouldn't be, like it can be, but currently I don't think that's in AI scope at the moment. So that was basically like you might say even partly a 0 day, because nobody even like reports that we got even when we try to apply AI to the same while knowing the vulnerability exists. Even then, AI couldn't find it.
Wow.
Interesting. So the attacker definitely understood cryptography. Definitely.
I think so. I think so.
Likely.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I've heard from multiple people, is that this attack was very sophisticated, and it's not like some random dude with an AI model could have really hacked this together. It took someone of supreme sophistication. I've heard that from people outside of THORChain. Yep. Been saying that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay, so maybe this is a good time transition to just, we're talking about the exploit. Chad, first off, how you doing? I hope, and maybe Asaf, you too. I hope you guys are not too exhausted. I know you guys have been working really hard. This is, you guys have been really putting in the hours. I've seen it, I've heard it. So thank you very much. Again, always want to make sure convey everyone's so appreciative of that, because a lot of people, they want to help, but they can't. They don't have the skills and they feel helpless. So just, little pom-poms, go devs, right? So yeah, maybe how are we doing currently, Chad? I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, so the next step is we've passed the TSS related issues. We found more than what was there, or just we found more issues that not only in our own code base, but in other people's code bases as well, which are obviously going to be addressed. We have two PRs that are currently trying to be merged, one for a Bifrost change and one for a Thor node change. Bifrost change is just implementing the TSS related issues, and the Thor node change is making some store migrations predominantly to fill in the $10 million hole using the methodologies that ADR 28 agreed on and voted on. So as soon as those two things get merged, which will hopefully be the next like couple hours or so, we can then cut 319. That will then get deployed to StageNet, and the Maya team will spend a good amount of time, poking around on that, making sure it works as well as possible. The store migration stuff will not be tested on StageNet because it's specifically for mainnet. It's store migrations for mainnet data, so you really can't test that reasonably on a StageNet environment. So we kind of have to wait until mainnet for that particular testing, but we do the best we can with the situation we're in. So hopefully 319 will be cut today, deployed to StageNet, hopefully tomorrow. Give it a day or maybe a couple of days, maybe the weekend, for Maya to kind of kick the tires on it a little bit. I'm hoping we'll do a mainnet release for nodes to adopt either Monday, Tuesday, maybe the latest Wednesday. If there's bugs that were discovered, we have to go back and cut another release and all that kind of stuff. So it's nearly impossible to it's probably literally impossible to actually to guess when it would actually happen, because we don't know if there's any issues that will be found on StageNet that has to be patched or fixed or whatever, which obviously adds more time. But my guess is it would probably be between like Monday and Wednesday next week. We'll release it out to nodes. Nodes will need to adopt that change, so forth and so on. and so we're getting closer. Maybe another week or so, I'm guessing, before that's up online and churning and trading and all that kind of stuff.
That's a very fast response. That's, given we had a 0 day and there's more things you guys have discovered on top of that. There's like a onion with multiple layers here. I consider that a very competent and a wonderful fast response time. So I know you guys are trying as hard as you can. I just want to say again, the community is like, we get it. No need to rush. It seems like you guys are going a pretty good, efficient case. So good job. One question I want to ask you, Chad, because this has been largely outside the ecosystem. There's been some confusion here. So I just want to give you the chance to set the record straight. And Asaf, you can, of course, chat up in any time. But, we are going to temporarily be closed sourcing the TSS library. If I misspoke, please. Maybe just break down our reasons for doing that and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So there were a bunch of changes made in the TSS implementation, and that can have some kind of sweeping effects to it. And so we've spent a lot of time, and we've gotten cryptographers to take a deeper dive into the kind of the math of the implementation of the math more accurately. But we also wanted we're not done necessarily. We wanted to spend even more time on it, which would take probably weeks. But we have such strong confidence that we've plugged all the holes, blah blah blah. We feel very, very confident about that. But we also want to spend the additional time as well. We don't want to put that information public at this stage. I want to give the SodaLabs teams as much time as they need to finish their process of a deep dive audit, so forth and so on, and bringing in potentially external people in to help with that. And so once that's done, then and we feel there's no more issues or whatever that at least that we can't are unable to find or whatever, then we can go ahead and make it open source again. So that'll be probably 2 weeks, maybe a month, depending upon if we want to release it as part of 3.20 or 3.19.1. That's to be determined, but I'm expecting to go open source again, at the latest whenever 3.20 comes out.
Perfect. Yeah. And for those who don't know, swapping is the lifeblood of THORChain, right? We have node operators, they have overhead, they're maintaining their daemons. We need fees. We need to earn money. That's just how THORChain is. It's a real market system that relies on first principles, so we have to make money. So it's important that we have to get THORChain swapping again, no sacrifices to safety as far as we can tell. And that's why the closed sourcing, as Chad explained, that's why we're going to do that. So I hope that clears up to all the people who are commuting. I know I answered that question a lot on X. I hope that makes sense. Kenton, I'll go ahead and kick it back to you if you have anything you want to add on that.
Just recap it. It's like a lesser of two evil things. Either we stay all open source, but then we have to have trading paused for a few weeks, several weeks, until you figure out the TSS library. Or we use a closed source one and get trading resumed for a few weeks, right? And it's like, which is worse? And if somebody's really like butthurt about it, well, then don't use THORChain for those few weeks while the library is closed source. And, we're not hiding anything. We're being open about it, right? It's, Well, it is open source that you can see that it's closed source in a sense, right? Like, so
it's public knowledge.
right?
Public knowledge that it's closed source temporarily.
Public knowledge is closed source.
Yeah.
So, if it really, bothers you, just don't use THORChain for those few weeks.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think it's, I think it's a fair thing to do. I don't think it's wrong or crazy. And I appreciate a purist point of view though. But we have, just like you said, Danny, we got to pick. It's one of the two things, and I think enough people will be happy to use THORChain and keep swapping, despite the closed source library for the time being. So,
to be honest, from a personal perspective, I would be okay with open sourcing it today, personally, but the Soda teams would rather keep it closed source for their own purposes and processes, and I'm not gonna,
Look, it's not like we want security by obscurity or something like that. It's like we want to be 100% sure that if we make any changes to cryptography, cryptography is something like that you have to be very meticulous about, very, very meticulous. You cannot just say probably 99.9% chance. We have to be sure nothing else happens because of cryptography, because otherwise we understand that THORChain every day that passes is funds lost. We understand that, but we need the funds that we do have currently to be secure. We do not want any chance, even the slightest, if we can control it, to leave unobserved, to leave any stone unturned, to make sure to make absolutely sure that nothing will happen with this library. Of course, we cannot guarantee because we are humans and nobody's perfect, but we will not save any effort. We would not leave any stone unturned, and then when we are sure, we will open source the library.
I think that's a good middle ground for everyone involved. It seems reasonable on all fronts. Chad, I just real quick question. So let's just order of operations, and maybe if you explain this, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch it. So, okay, we are paused, obviously. So few hours. Again, these are just assuming everything goes well. We'll cut 3.19, go to StageNet, blah blah blah, test. When 3.19, sorry, gets pushed to mainnet, trading will still be paused because we have to churn first. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Trading will be the last thing that gets turned back on again. So the actual, like, once 3.19 is adopted, right, and all the nodes are on it, let's just assume that just happened just now. The first thing you want to do is verify that the migration worked as the way the migration should work. There wasn't any kind of blow ups or something weird happened or errors or whatever. Just make sure that's good. The second thing we want to do is there's a verification process that the protocol is going to do to verify the current keys that it has. We are 99.9 sure that they're perfectly fine and secure, but we obviously, as Asaf was just saying a moment ago, we want 100% certainty, right? We don't want 99.9. That's not good enough. We're going for 100. So that process will then also start. We wait for those keys to be verify their own security and ask the nodes. The nodes are going to be talking to each other in a process to verify each other's kind of state, if you want to call it that. It's not really exactly accurate, but good enough for the conversation. So that's the second thing we were going to looking
Can I
for.
interrupt you, Chad? When you say
Yeah.
nodes talking to each other, you mean on the code, the nodes are talking to each other?
Yes,
the
yes.
protocol. Not the humans are talking to each other.
Not the humans. Yes,
Yeah.
no. This is just the different Bifrosts. We go through like a key gen process or a key sign process where they all kind of join a little like online party and autonomously go through rounds of communications to either generate new keys or to generate a signature. This is conceptually very similar, but instead of generating a signature or generating new keys, it's verifying keys, right? In a sense. So you want to wait until that is done, which should be relatively fast. It shouldn't take much time for that once all the nodes are adopted. Once that's done, we can resume signing. And last time I looked, there was like 26 outbound transactions waiting to be signed on the outbound. Those will probably be signed and sent out in a short period of time, like a few minutes, I'm guessing. Once that's done, we can enable churning. Once that's done, of enabling churning, within an hour, the churning should start the process of doing a key churn, key gen rather, and all the nodes are going to come together and generate a new shared TSS series of vaults, assuming that we don't have any down nodes at the time or whatever that could cause that process to fail, whatever. Then we've seen that process fail be immediately clean and just worked the first time, and we've seen it take numerous days, right, depending upon the conditions of the network itself. Once that's done, then the churning starts. So the actual sending of funds from the old vaults to the new vaults, that will take approximately 6-ish hours or so. And once that's done, then we can resume LP actions. We can resume trading, and then there's a third one that secured assets, deposits and withdrawals. Same thing for trade assets. But we're just waiting for that to happen. So we want to be on 3.19. We want to be churned, which means the old vaults are gone, the new vaults are in. Migration would happen successfully, so there's no accounting issues, in the state of the chain itself. And then once that's happened, we can go ahead and enable all these functionalities of the protocol, and we're back online and healthy.
Back to business, baby. I love it. It's
Awesome.
going to happen, you guys. So great job, everybody. Go ahead, Hinton.
When you say store migration, that's making sure, like, filling the hole for the loss, like figuring out that everything balances out. So last we talked, that I remember, is that there's still about a $700,000 gap between the L1 assets that the protocol owns that can cover the loss versus what's needed to balance things out. But Hans, I think, still needed to refine his numbers and math. Has he ironed out the numbers a bit further? Or is that 700,000 number still accurate?
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so. I think
okay.
we've ironed it out.
And then how is that going to be filled? Is that just going to be sell
Oh,
some rune to buy the tokens?
I don't remember offhand where
Okay.
or how that come up, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But it's
Um,
figured out the way
I
forward.
believe so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And if I'm assuming it'll be selling some rune to buy some tokens, and if someone hears that and they're freaking out, I can confidently say, you guys, selling several hundred grand of rune is not going to cause a price to
Oh,
tank. It's not.
basically,
It's fine.
bas-
No one's going to notice it.
You probably wouldn't even see it happen. See it
Yeah,
at the price, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no one will notice
Yeah.
on the price. We just had Boone join us. Boone, did you have a question?
I did. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it kind of felt like the conversation was moving away from the TSS libraries. And one open question I did have was, and maybe I'm just wrong about this, but my impression was we had been using a slightly outdated library. And I just wondered if, like, how that happened, or if that happened. Maybe it didn't.
I mean, I don't want to get into commentary too deep about the TSS stuff at this stage. I want to get the network back online healthy, and if you want to ask that question again, then happy to answer it. But I don't want to get too into the depths right now.
Okay, yeah, it's not so much like the details of it, just more like the process of it. Like if updates were released, why didn't we adopt them in the past? Just like so that we can improve our process going forward. But yeah, if you don't want to talk about that now, then that's totally fine.
I can say, like, we have a channel for security in Discord, which is a private one for obvious reasons. And we had monitors on the upstream TSS library that would post in that channel whenever a new code change had happened. We would always treat that as a presumed 0 day, right? If there's some code change happening, it could be exposing some 0 day and then making it publicly known in theory if there's an actual issue. And then the THORSec team at that time would review that code change, see what's being changed and why it's being changed, whatever, and then make a judgment call whether that's something to pull in or not.
And the THORSec team back then is a different team than we have now. Or well, I can't even ask that because I don't want to reveal details. Never mind. Scratch that question. Boone, did you have something else? I do have a question from the community. But you are here, and I'll make sure I give you the floor if you have any follow-up question or anything like that.
Well, I have some other questions that are not related to this thing that, like, maybe the conversation will reach naturally on its own, and I'm happy to wait.
Okay, yeah, I do have a question that's sort of related to the cryptography element of this, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it, and then if there's nothing else, then maybe we can transition to there. So I do have a question from the community. I'm going to direct it to you, Asaf, because, you guys do have the cryptography experts. They would like to know, obviously GG20, we're going to patch it, we're going to use it. You can't just slap on another cryptography on top of THORChain real quick. It doesn't work like that. So they question your personal opinion on maybe going to something called DKLS or Frost or whatever it is. So I'll kick it to you, Asaf, if you'd like to comment on that.
Thanks. That's a great question. We've actually been benchmarking candidates for DKLS23 substitute library for everything that is related to ECDSA signatures. What Chad said in the last episode about the Frost, about the underlying schnorr, is much simpler, and simpler means less attack surface. So if we can adopt a different cryptography, a different TSS, a different underlying key generation process that would cover us with Frost and everything we can, and the other stuff would be DKLS23, which is slightly less efficient. And there is also Monero that we would have to use another flavor of Frost. So this is currently on the table. I think it's a great way to move forward. And we are, as you said, you cannot just slap on a new cryptography. You have to see which library you're about to use. You have to know how the integration would be. There would also be some period of having both. probably hopefully very very short, but the transition is not as straightforward as you might expect. But yeah, as like Chad said, that's the way we plan to move forward.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. You know how us having the 5 Asgard vaults actually ended up saving us and protecting us? What if we had 5 different cryptographies? GG20, DKLS, Frost, and just kind of split tokens up between those, so that if one of those cryptographies gets compromised, the other ones are okay.
So listen, my personal opinion about that is that we would be better off to just use the best thing that we have available cryptographically, because I don't want to delve into too deeply into cryptography, because I'm not a cryptographer. I can't say that I'm an expert on that. But I think if you get an efficient and well audited and well implemented library, you do not need to diversify it, because some of them might have because then you also can increase attack surface. What if just one of them has not your first choice, but what if just one of them would have some vulnerability? Then you lose a fifth of your funds because you have it as well. But I wanted to add something to the previous episode discussion when you said something about, I think it was Chad, you said something about cold vaults, and I thought that's a great idea, but we can also once upon a time THORChain had the Yggdrasil vaults and Asgard vaults. Now we have only Asgard vaults. But what if instead of cold vaults, we would have very infrequently signing big vaults that would have more of the funds, and signing there would be like a very rare event. And the Asgard vaults that have there are TSS vaults would have less funds, because you said we only need the 20% for the liquidity. So if we make signing a much rarer event, we reduce attack surface on most of our funds.
Yeah, just to give a little more color to us for what Office is saying there. A lot of the attacks that we've seen specifically on TSS on GG20, almost all of them, to my recollection, had to do about extracting key information through multiple attempts to sign something, and then collecting a little bit of data and then canceling the transaction, right, or killing it, and then getting another attempt and then collect a little bit more information and then canceling. And so he mentioned earlier about Bitforge, and that's sometimes referred to as 1 million. What's it called? A million,
Death by a million.
slashes, or death by a million cuts. That's another kind of an alias for it, which insinuates. I don't know if I don't think it's actually a million, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of you need to do hundreds of thousands of failed key signs to extract enough information to be able to get the root key. And so what he's saying here, just to kind of add some more context to our community here, is that if we have a vault that's a bigger vault that's not really signing up on transactions, kind of more of a colder wallet, not entirely cold, not frozen cold, but lukewarm wallet, should I say? I don't know, where it's still kind of hot in the sense that it's online, but it's very rarely topping up the hot wallet, which is doing all the outbound transactions that we're signing all of the time. Then you would have less opportunity to be able to extract key information. That's basically what he's suggesting, and what he's saying, that just so people can more deeply understand where he's coming from.
Let's make the explanation a little dumber for the lower IQ people like myself. Is basically you can think of it as a separate Asgard vault that's just underutilized on purpose to protect it from the attack vectors of the past. Would my understanding be correct? And is secured by a validator set similar to the Asgard vaults we have now.
I don't know what Asaf has in mind, but you can.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is Chad's explanation was pretty I think it was good, but I have sometimes I just jump too far ahead. So yeah, what Chad said is the background of what I'm suggesting. If we're just floating around ideas, just brainstorming on the podcast. So the more you sign, the more attack surface you provide. That's the gist of it. So sign less, provide less attack surface, and if in the last episode you said that most of our funds are not like we only needed 20% for liquidity, then we can have like 5 volts that would take care of that 20%, and the rest of the 80% would be like rarely signed. So just a suggestion, just a thought. But if we've started to talk about diversifying vaults and stuff like that, then we can continue conversation about how we can improve.
By the way, like, so there's already been a code change. I think it's already merged. I hope it is. Maybe it's not. But a code change to that when you fail a key sign, which is like in this attack vector where you have to do a key sign and you get to round 3 or 4 or 5 or 7, whatever the round we're talking about is, and you cancel the transaction or you cancel the key sign because you're the malicious attacker to trigger another one. What happens is the THORChain protocol will jail that node, right, for I think it's like an hour or 6 hours or something like this. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. And historically, we don't really do a lot with that jailed information. We do a little bit of something. You get slashes, and there's like a few other kind of odds and ends. We kind of use that information for purposes like you don't get selected to turn into the network if you're jailed, for example. But we've made a change where when you're doing this kind of party where you're kind of you're trying to do a key sign and you're all meeting in the same place to kind of join this party, and the first 2/3 that arrive out of the all the nodes that can sign, that's what the party is. The first 2/3 of that just basically show up. And the change is that, like, well, if you're jailed, we're just not going to allow you to be in the party, right? So in effect, it's like by doing that, it means you can do one failed key sign instead of like every key sign. You can do it like once every hour or 6 hours, whatever. I think it's an hour. I want to say, and so you only do one per hour, which means that the frequency of which you can trigger a failed key sign is dramatically reduced by I don't know how many minutes it is, or how many. It's orders of magnitude.
Yeah.
I can't do the math off the top of my head, but like, it's a lot, right? And so that's still another way of achieving the kind of root of what Asaf is saying here, just going at it in a different road. But at the same time, we also have to state that like there are circumstances and there are exploits that theoretically could exist where you can extract the keys from a single key sign failure, rather than a million, like Bitforge is what kind of requires a million, right? And some require just one. And so this defense and the one that Asaf is talking about wouldn't be very helpful in that particular scenario, right? And so there is a wide range of ways that you can, attack this GG20 or any other cryptography, DKLS, you name it. But obviously, we just try to think as thoroughly as we can about it, and create as many blockers or whatever or barriers as possible. And you can never have like too many barriers unless you're like harming performance too much. But like you just try to create like security should be like an onion, where you just layer protections, that maybe you can protect the same thing like 7 different times in 7 different places. But that's all good parts to give you better quality security, is just layer that shit as much as possible.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also liked your idea also from last episode with the how do you say, not grace period, a cooldown period, like a few months from wanting to join as a validator and being able to start validating. I think we can also we've been floating around a concept that is very prevalent in decentralized networks, not specifically in blockchains, but in decentralized computing in general. That is a concept of reputation. So if you've been validating for a long time, you should be able to validate to secure more funds. But if you are a new validator, maybe you should be only allowed to secure less funds. So this prolongs the way after the 6 months or whatever time that you have to wait from the moment of realizing that you maybe have an exploit until you start joining the network. And then even after that, you start with very small amount of funds that you can steal. So this makes the exploit less worthwhile, because and more likely to be discovered until you get to the point when you can actually utilize it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it doesn't matter who's finding it. Like if you found it, like I'm a malicious person and I found it, but also there's another guy named Asaf who's also malicious and maybe he finds the same issue. So should I wait until I've been in the protocol for 6 months, and maybe get a bigger payout? Or do I just like take what I can get on day one, which is obviously a lot smaller, right? Because I don't want Asaf, who's also a potential either being, a good white hat working a part of the team or a malicious attacker, finds the same issue that I found, right? So there's an open issue. I know of it, and maybe someone else might find it. So do I wait and play the dice, and get
Yeah.
nothing? Or do I
Yeah.
just like do it as fast as possible and walk away with $1 million instead of, something much larger?
I think this works really well because if you look at the time we live on with the rapid increase of AI technology, if you have this design where these newer validators are securing less funds, they're actually really incentivized to steal right away because the increase of these AI models. I mean, if I have to wait 6 months, I mean, someone easily could find this exploit before myself, and so they're just going to take it and run, right? Which, yeah, I think that works 100%. I was just breaking down my brain. I think that's a good idea, you guys. I
And
don't see a
if
problem
they
with
have
that.
to, especially when, uh, if the when rune price goes back up and it's a few $1,000,000 to run one node again, they have to sit on that few $1,000,000 for several months too,
Mhm.
and they may not want that volatility. Maybe they're borrowing to get it. Maybe the rune price goes down or something. Um, that factors into it. So yeah, I like that. That time changes everything.
Yeah.
Um, how, but
It's
yeah.
complicated though, because like how we organize vaults and how we choose which validator is going into which vault, the methodology of how we like our heuristic of how we achieve that today is one design that's optimizing for, it's really kind of designed to optimize against Sybil attacks, which is one actor getting access to 2/3 majority of a single vault, which was not the case here. There was just one actor exploiting a TSS vulnerability to extract keys from the other nodes effectively. And so we've designed it right now to be for more of that, rather than designing it to optimize more for the single attacker that has some sort of single, TSS exploit. And then we would have a different methodology of like, okay, how many volts do we have? And, okay, well, it's organized by how many volts you've been a part of in the past. So you've done 0, so you're in the small one, and you've done 30, so you're in the big one, right? Or whatever. And so like that becomes, a different methodology of achieving the same task. But by doing so, you inherently, or most likely, have deprioritized the current methodology, which is prioritizing against Sybil attacks.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I agree.
It's complicated. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, we have to optimize for like we have to optimize for both. But if I think about it, like if somebody can get Sybil attack with 2/3 +1 into a very small vault, and maybe his bonded rune maybe should be also makes it very very unrewarding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I assume this node, because they're securing less assets, would have less yield.
Yeah.
And so could this make it
I don't
just
know.
bit
Yeah.
The
like
current
for
code, looks at the yields relative to
Yeah.
how much rune you bond, rather than how many assets you're
Right.
securing. Doesn't mean we have to stay that way. We could change it. I mean, if we were to change the methodology of how we create vaults, we could make that change theoretically.
So I'm just thinking about a new honest node operator entering the network. If he's got to start or she's got to start out with super low yield and takes 6 months to ramp up, that could be a big pill to swallow for
Yeah.
a new
Yeah.
operator.
But also keep in mind that if you were to Sybil attack, a vault, you couldn't do it in a single churn. Like that would be completely impractical to achieve. Like literally, it actually would be impossible to do in a single churn. So you would have to create a bunch of nodes and get them churned in, and then like you'd have to be around for a long, like 6 months in the minimum, probably closer to a year and a half. I haven't done the math in a very long period of time, but it's a very long period of time depending upon how much capital you have to launch this kind of attack. So you would have to be in the protocol for a long time to do a Sybil attack. So you would get naturally pushed to the to the larger vaults with more money in a Sybil attack scenario with this new kind of heuristic of prioritizing vaults and node membership.
Yeah,
I
but
would think
node.
that it. Go ahead.
Sorry. I
Oh, you
thought
go ahead.
no, the nodes would like they have the amount of bonded rune that they have was like 1.5 times the amount that they secure. So if you 2/3 of the vaults do the Sybil attack, they still like compromise with their slashed funds.
It depends. Like I think in the current moment we're like undersecured. Like this is kind of a conscious choice the protocol made, I don't know, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, something like this. Just so that we could support more growth. But that's kind of what like cold vaults was when I was like talking about this last week, was to help kind of go against that and to move more towards economic security. In that context, I'm not convinced that cold vaults is the right idea, to be honest with you. Like it's something I came up with in 23. It's an interesting concept. I'm not sure it scales well enough for the protocol's needs. Like how many people have enough, how much rune to be able to secure what at a 2-to-1 ratio. So if we have to secure $100 million, we would need $200 million of rune, which is what percentage of the current holders? Like I'm not sure if it would scale enough to achieve the intended outcome. And that's my biggest concern about the feature personally. But
Well,
Yeah.
could you have it? You have the entry level vault for the new node operators with the smaller assets, and then you have the longer term operators in the big vault. That the bigger vault, that one could be uncapped, and the smaller vault, that one could be that the small vault could have economic security, and the big vault can
yeah,
be uncapped. Because in
right.
theory, we're saying those nodes are safer.
Yeah,
Interesting idea. One thing I wanted to walk back a little bit in terms of the new node operators and having potentially less yield. I don't think that works because it would be very hard. Kenton kind of pointed this, for a new node operator to start. Maybe if you had opt-in chain clients, and they could pick and choose what chains they want, their overhead would be less. But then if they're making less, then these new node operators will have a very hard time attracting BPs because they would be getting less yield too. So I think it probably makes sense to keep the yield consistent relative to how we now with the depth of their bond relative to the rest of the network. That's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
right now.
and that could be
Yeah.
like, if a existing node is like, well, it's not fair, they're not securing the same amount of votes, the same amount of assets. Well, we want new nodes. We need to get them in the network. Like
Yeah.
we need to like help them type thing, right? Like we want honest ones. So I think that would make sense. Yeah, keep the fees the same for everybody, but just the assets they're exposed to less. It's not like an attacker is going to make a lot of money off the fees anyway, right?
Right.
So, um, yeah, I think I could get behind that. Just making the fees the same, regardless of the vault size.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it'd
Yeah.
be simpler too.
These are all ideas we could explore and and be open minded about different ideas of how we can move forward. I don't have all the answers immediately, and I won't anytime soon. Right now I'm just focused on getting everything back online and healthy in the current moment. We'll probably revisit these kind of conversations after we're in good standing, and think about what protocol changes we can make to more harden the protocol.
And I want to just say real quick for the community, because I think when the protocol gets back started, I think everyone's going to be reasonably sensitive, right? Like everyone's going to be on heightened awareness. Everyone's going to be looking out for unusual behavior, which is great. I just want to remind the community, we're going to have a lot of new nodes be churning in here shortly. There's some big work happening in the background. Some node operators are training lots of individual new node operators. It's a beautiful thing. So just remind people, you are going to see lots of new node operators come in the short term. Not necessarily a red flag, even though we will be hypersensitive to that sort of thing. So just a reminder to everybody. Okay. Kenton, did you have something else that you want to add? Okay. Chad, Asaf, is there anything else we want to add in terms of this conversation? Any tangent or anything? I want to make sure we fully flesh out this idea. It's a really interesting conversation.
Trying to think.
I don't see
I-
any questions or anything like this. So
I mean, I kind of like the idea of I mean, there's a bunch of things I want to do differently that I think are inarguable, right? One would be, for example, is doing analysis into new nodes that are showing up, which in terms of the source of their rune and how long they've been around, and if they're engaged with Tornado Cash, or whatever, just to kind of flag things. We could have better monitoring about key sign failures, and especially when it's like a when it's largely just a single node that's causing a large amount of them, and especially like during a key sign, just to be early indicators of a potential issue, right? There's lots of kind of like simple changes like that we can make to improve things. Maybe setting a minimum number of blocks or months before an operator can become an operator. Like you have to do a rune transaction, and then 2 months later, 3 months later, 6 months, whatever the time span is, then you can be an operator, because it just forces people who have TSS exploits to sit on it for many months before they can even theoretically use it. Although it might create like a secondary market for addresses for mnemonic phrases in a matter of speaking. Although that's probably fine, to be honest. So there's a bunch of different things we can change, and I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of that, in the near future once we get kind of signing again and trading again and all those kind of things. But and then also there's a bigger conversation about like DKLS and Frost, like we just talked a little bit about a moment ago, about where we want to be. We've been trying to move to DKLS for quite some time. We had hired SodaLabs to produce a TSS implementation, sorry, a DKLS implementation with identifiable aborts since last year. And so we've been like actively working towards that goal. In fact, we actually had temporarily paused our bug bounty recently, just so that we would stop dealing with a lot of AI slop that we were getting, from people about, oh, this is an exploit, this is an exploit, this is an exploit, and it's just like a bunch of slop. And it was just draining of our resources and draining of our time, and we couldn't get to DKLS and invariance and these other things. That's been on our roadmap for a while, because we were just getting, so much AI slop that it was just a drain on resources.
So like
Um,
not only AI flop, some people would just like take our website address, put it on some like online tool, copy the output, mail it to us, and say this is critical, and we have to actually take the time and assess, because you cannot ignore reports. But for like, it's obvious that it was like just copy pasted from some online tool with as like a minute of effort. So not even AI. So like and by the way, AI, I don't mind. Like if somebody says I found a vulnerability, yeah, I don't mind that he found it with AI. Like I don't mind how much effort it took him. If he delivers some vulnerability that we need to patch, then that's great. As long as we don't have to sift through a lot of junk, because like everybody sends reports and says like this is a critical report, this is a critical vulnerability, and they don't let up, don't accept even if we prove that it's not critical or even low. They don't let up. So it's very taxing about of our resources. But maybe after we do some of the improvements Chad is talking about, and we have some other stuff on the queue, maybe anomaly detection, like general anomaly detection, not only for key signs, just for anomalous detection, that maybe it's a little bit reactive, but after the Litecoin exploit, you would have noticed there was anomalous activity in Bifrost when you observe that blockchain. So also that should be alerted. So we should keep baselines and discover like proactively discover anything that is out of the ordinary, and have a human look at it. So yeah, sorry for interrupting you, Chad. Back to you.
Oh, you're muted, buddy. You're muted. Here, I'll mute you. Go ahead, Chad. You're good.
Yeah, no, you're fine, and you're right. And I think this is one of the intentions that I've always had about Hugin was to monitor mainnet and in real time to monitor for weird logs and metrics and data, da 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 da. And that's always been a goal, not just to find bugs, but also potentially find active attacks that would immediately in live time or as close to live time as technology would allow, to alert the community to something, right? And maybe even have the community, do a make pause or whatever, and preserve the funds that might have been lost, before that point, right? And getting to be that speed of efficiency and like real time monitoring is something I've always wanted. I've been talking about this since May of last year about building an AI to do that, and just haven't gotten around to do it. I've been, busy working on other things, but that's all part of it, and so that we have to use these AI tools to be defensive as well as they're going to be used offensively.
And I hear a lot of people online, maybe not familiar with the ecosystem. That, we did get a lot of flack about canceling our bug bounty programs. Like, oh, the attack vector of a bug bounty program. It's like, well, you also consider the attack vector of our own developers wasting their time going down meaningless rabbit holes when they should be actively trying to harden the network and doing their own analysis and going down their own thing. When you guys are speaking, the only thing I could think of to make the bug bounty viable again, because there's so much AI slop, is maybe to have a submitter actually like deposit money, right? Like maybe I'm just making up numbers, $200, $300, $500, and say, hey, I'm so confident this is a bug. Here's $500, right? And if I'm right, then they get their money back plus the bug bounty. And that way, that would maybe add some legitimacy to just people just submitting these bug bounties for free. You know what I mean? For free. You know what I mean? I don't know. I was just thinking about that, but and there maybe there could be a way to maybe sift the wheat from the chaff a little bit, but. Yeah, guys. I mean, we don't want our developers wasting time. And AI has literally reshaped everything. It's broken everything about conventional developer methodology. The convention is out the window. It's a new dynamic, and we have a new dynamic in this. The status quo's change. We have to adapt with it. So, I hope
Yeah,
that makes sense to people out there.
It
I,
is
I
a
think
time waster,
we.
though.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I think we have to rethink. Well, like the bug bounty is currently frozen, not cancelled, but we have to rethink how we present the bug bounty, how we present the reward system, and how, like, if you think about it, you put yourself in the reporter shoes. If they think that they can get a decent amount of payoff for a decent amount of effort, it doesn't really have to be like, just say it's critical and expect, like, to try to push the bounty up as much as you can, because only a critical gets something that is at all interesting. We should just like rethink how we scale it in the now new but very very changing, very effort changing AI era. So if you are able to find bugs easily, you would still report them. And also what we said earlier, like if you're an attacker, like let's say you have that choice to decide if you want to attack THORChain because you found something, but now you have to wait 6 months until you get accepted as a validator, and then you have to accept a lesser payoff because you're in a minimum funds vault. Maybe you would just prefer to disclose, just get the money honestly without having to run away, without having to conceal yourself from the authorities or whatever like they need to do. So it's not like the bug bounty is completely cancelled. It would be rethought of and reinstated once we get the hang of what we need to do, what we need reporters to do for us. And of course, what you said, I also thought about maybe deposit some money, but I'm not sure. Like we have to find a way to discourage people to just like bombard us with either copy paste stuff or slop stuff. Just have to find a way to mitigate that before we can reinstate it.
Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to do it, and I haven't actually spoken to you about this because it's just not the right time. But is that when somebody reports something, sends an email, blah blah blah, that it just gets forwarded into a GitLab, a confidential GitLab issue, and then it gets tagged like, exploit or security or some tag. And then Hugin would evaluate it first. And Hugin would comment on the GitLab thing and say I confirm or I deny, right, or whatever, and then give an explanation of why it confirms, an explanation of why it denies. Like when you have the slop being come at us, whether it's AI slop or some guy just copying pasting something off of some website and then just sending it to us and hoping for a payout for 1 minute of work, you can, in order to fight the AI, you have to use the AI, I
Yeah.
guess, in a matter of speaking, and then at least that would that should cut down the amount of slop that we receive or deal with us humans by 80-90% or something like that, and then maybe then we can re-enable the bug bounty. Like it was always going to be like a 1 year pause in the bug bounty just to give us some time to work on invariants and DKLS and other things we've been wanting to have on the security roadmap and get some things delivered we really wanted to get delivered for the best interest of the security of the protocol, and then come back to the bug bounty and evaluate things at that moment in time, which is like a year from now is like super long within the context of AI. Like who knows? Like, we're on Mythos 3 at that point. do you know what I mean? Like you have no idea what the current market will be in that particular moment, but there'll be at least more clarity then than there is now about the best way to have bug bounties moving forward in the age of, AI.
Yeah, maybe some confidence about like the AI should be having like confidence about how likely it is to be irrelevant, because that the chances of missing something that is important just because an AI flag that it's unimportant is also troubling. But yeah, definitely AI can help mitigate most of it. We have to just be worried about the maybe important stuff not getting away even after the AI review them.
Yeah, you might have to do like a little bit of like kind of like in like law, you can, file motions and then you can have the motions dismissed and then you can dismiss of the motions and then the other side can come, like it's a kind of you have a back and forth 3 or 4 times. And so maybe Hugin would have to be able to like, I deny your request for this critical exploit that you say. And then the other guy's like, well, I disagree with your analysis because of da 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 da. And then Hugin comes like, well, I disagree with your disagreement because of da 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 da. And then at least, I don't know, at least that gives an opportunity for a submitter to try to argue with the AI in some sense and get human eyes on it.
Yeah,
One thing I
yeah.
really like about this conversation is something, Kenton mentioned earlier, is there some super powerful AI by some entity out there loose in the wild? We are seeing all kinds of crazy exploits right now. I think there's something going on. I think we can at least say that, right? But one thing I think that people will hearten from this conversation is, THORChain was built very defensively from day one. And, you mentioned the Sybil attack and all the conventional things that we were worried about. We actually have stopped like 99% of these things. But we had, obviously a 0-day, one node rugging entire vault was never, ever the intention. I mean, anything's possible, of course, but I really enjoy how we're already thinking, Chad, we're going forward. We're already thinking, okay, in light of this new information, how do we make it even more defensive, even more safe? That node operators have been proven now. We've always knew that they were an attack vector, but to be an attack vector in this way, this delay on new Thor addresses, Asaf talking about the incentive of an exploiter, just take the money that's honest at this point because you're going to wait 6 months, I think it's great, guys. I think we're onto something here, and I hope people who are listening to this draw a lot of comfort, because when we're throwing a lot of ideas out there, and from when I think about it, it makes perfect sense to me. I love this, so I think going forward, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be healthier, and I think people are going to have even more confidence in THORChain.
Yeah, Asaf was right in the beginning of the episode when he talked about what we're doing here is actually very hard because we are actually decentralized. We have anonymous node operators that anybody can come in who wants to come in, versus like Near doesn't do that. They have 9 validators, that it's a closed system. They all probably all know each other, I assume. And so they don't have to worry about this particular attack vector because they get around it by leaning towards trust or some form of centralization. That's not what this protocol believes in. And so we have a very hard problem, harder than most. And like, as I mentioned before, even moving to DKLS is not just like a, open and closed situation, it's not that simple, because to my knowledge, we would be the only users of DKLS that have open notes, that anybody can be an operator who wants to be an operator. So we have an exposure, which is why we wanted the identifiable boards. You don't need identifiable boards if you trust and know all your validators, right? So we have different demands that are inherently more complicated and hard to secure relative to the rest of the market, because we value decentralization and we're willing to put in the extra effort and energy that it takes to secure that stuff as best as humanly possible.
I'm really glad you said that, because I think this is a time where we need to do, not really flexing, but if you are new to THORChain, if you're listening to this, whether it's live or recording, like, you need to take a second to understand how freaking complicated this beast is and what we've truly built here. And we built it open source in the open, and we're going on 6 years. I mean, last I checked, THORChain was like 700,000 lines of code. I mean, we're marching towards 1 million lines of code. I'm assuming one day we're going to get there.
It's big. It's hard.
It's big. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the background. THORChain is a big beast, but it freaking works. It works. And the THORChain of 2021 looks nothing like what we have now. Every single bug, nuance, all the consensus failures, all the weird idiosyncrasies with all the different chains, all the sanity checks, like, you guys have no idea. You really, THORChain is an engineering marvel. It is a testament to what it is, really incredible. Yeah, we got kicked in the nuts, but I mean, given what we built here, it happens. You know what I mean? And we're gonna move on, and it's a testament to our resilience and our strength and our determination to see this through. And I love what you said, Asaf, in the very beginning about privacy is a human right. And I think this infrastructure, Kenton was nodding when you said it back beforehand, this is what does it. Permissionless access to privacy coins. This is what's going to protect not only individuals, but companies, enterprises. It's going to allow businesses to make deals in a way that doesn't reveal their strategy. I mean, it just makes sense for privacy. So golf clap. Golf clap to you, Chad. And I'm so glad to hear Asaf and all the developers. I love it. Kenton, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's more than just complicated. It's important.
Yes.
For the privacy reason you mentioned, right? This is
Well
an important piece of infrastructure the world needs. And that's what keeps everyone going. And to this day in the community, right? That no one's really freaking out about the hack. No one's happy about it, but everyone has their eyes on the sights, on the goal, the end game, and what this means. So it's pretty cool. So kudos to you, Chad. Kudos to Asaf. Thank you for your help. This is great, guys.
It's pretty amazing to think that this protocol has been around since basically the beginning of DeFi, right? Like it's an OG, I would say. It's not the first DeFi protocol, to be fair. That'd probably be what was that one on Ethereum before Uniswap that I'm now blanking on. But in any case, but like it's OG, and it's still around and doing exactly what it's designed to do, and it's made, as you mentioned, gobs of improvements and optimizations and innovations since then. While 98% of most protocols are either dead or zombies, one of the two. And this protocol is still around. It's still, doing good volume, and it's getting lots of revenue, and it's still performing well. That is such a green flag, in a sense.
Speaking of green flags, I made this joke before with Kenton. You guys weren't here yet. But someone from the outside looking in, they might see chaos. Or like, well, what's the THORChain? The THORChain community right now, guys, they are so they are so locked in. They are so confident. I ask questions. Every time we do Thor's Day, I say, okay, what questions do you have for Chad? I got a bunch of troll questions, and the question was, when Moon, when Lambo. Because they're believers. They know, we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And the mission goes on. XMR is coming. We got Polygon. We got Tau. We did the Quai guys, Xano. We got all these cool things coming. The rapid swap optimizations or whatever else. Nothing's changed. We just, we're having a minor speed bump. Well, not minor, but it's a speed bump.
We got a flat tire.
We got a flat tire.
On our journey to where we're going. And it just stopped us for a bit, but we're still fixing the tire. We're going to keep going.
And POL's coming too, Chad, right? So that's going to immediately get us back to increasing our depth again. So
yeah, it's funny. Like we were so close to like launching some really big new features, and then all this happened, and that put a big stop on that, at least a temporary stop on that. But once we're back online and trading again and all that kind of stuff, we'll resume on the roadmap and continue to deliver stuff. And there's some really big things that I was very excited about with rev share and dynamic fee model, and Zcash was almost going to be added. Monero's on the docket probably in another month or so. We got delayed, of course, because of everything. But like, we have so many really big and important things that are fundamentally going to change the value proposition of THORChain and significantly increase it, right? And improve what it's capable of even doing. So I was super excited before all this hack happened, and I was a little bit disappointed because it just distracted me for a couple of weeks or whatever it is. But I'm still very excited about that roadmap and to get back to normal operation so that I can work with the team to deliver these kind of like bigger features.
yeah, how we respond to problems is a great testament. That is the ultimate bull flag, right? Everyone's going to have problems. Everyone's going to have issues. That no matter what you do in life, it's how you respond to them. I think that's the ultimate sign of not only your resilience, your problem solving skills, but your character as well. So again, shout out to not only you guys, but to the community as well. Okay, Boone, you've come back, my friend. How you doing? This probably a good time to transition the conversation. I think we've had a lot of fun breaking down that talking point. Boone, you want to test out your mic again?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Dude, you sound beautiful. Go for it.
Excellent. Yeah, I just I'm not trying to hijack the conversation, but it seemed like we kind
you're
of got
fine.
a little like free flowing riffing, and I've floated this idea, both of these ideas, in the Discord recently, but I just wanted to put it out on the podcast as well. Of I think not for permanently, but at least in the short term, I think there's a really strong argument that we should raise the min fees, and it would just raise system income, which will across the board, I just think, be beneficial for THORChain. Higher yield will make bonding better. Maybe we don't have to raise the BP fees like Kenton was talking about last week. And if we do switch over to POL, then POL will increase that much faster. And yeah, I mean, there's good arguments to not do it as well, but I think in the short term, it's at least worth an experiment. Maybe raise min dips to 20 or something like that, just for like a month or 2 weeks, and see if it does, increase income. And I think that if it does, then there's an argument that it should be that way for a little while, not forever. Eventually, we would want to lower back down to capture greater market share. And then kind of very parallel and a similar is having the option to change the min fees on a per asset basis, specifically having Monero in mind, because we're going to have a functional monopoly on permissionless Monero swaps, and it makes sense to me to monetize that. And so it makes sense to have much higher fees on Monero compared to any other asset that we trade. So those are like the two kind of ideas I just wanted to put out there.
Well, we did that. I think it was in January, this past January. We put the min bips to 20 basis points. We tried 1, we tried 5, we tried 10, we tried 15, we tried 20. And from the data that we collected from that experiment, where I think each one we did 1 week or 2 weeks, I can't remember how many weeks it was, but I think it was 1 week or 2. We collected all the data about what was the volume change, what was the revenue change, and then the kind of happy medium was basically 10 basis points. That was the kind of outcome of that. And I think like,
Well, that's not that's not what I think the data shows. I think the data shows 20 or 25 bips is where we maximized revenue per. And so I used a metric that came up in a different conversation that I think actually makes the most sense, which is THORChain revenue divided by global exchange volume. So both SEX and DEX. And that way it accounts for volatility in the broader market, because you're measuring, basically the measure is how much does THORChain monetize the entire crypto swap market. And so using that metric, 15, 20, and 25 all were the best yielding bips rates in Cal's experiment, which did run from I want to say August to January or to December, something like that.
I thought it was later than that, but I think the realization and what the recommendation was, there was a recommendation written by the team after that, is that the problem with raising min bips or lowering min bips is that each individual market and each affiliate is its own individual market, and meaning if there's a different competition, right? In some affiliates we have 0 competition, and in some affiliates we have 80 competition, 80 other swap protocols that we're competing against, and some is just 2. And so like what the correct fee is for one market or one affiliate versus another can be wildly different, and so having a global configuration, I think that's the kind of realization that we're kind of making, is what dynamic fees attempting to address, is that having
You,
a min
I like your dynamic fees. I think it's great, and I'm very excited about it. But I don't think what it accounts for is the fact that. So I just did an analysis, and this was only on 2 hours because it was at block level, which if you look at block level, the data becomes quite extensive very quickly. And this matches what other people have said as well, is that our volume is about 62% of our volume, and so if and your dynamic fees only apply to L1 swaps. And so
Right.
if they're not applying to trade assets or secured assets, then the dynamic fees are not applying to most of our volume. And then I looked at the May 14th, so the last full day before we had the recent hack, and just on that day alone, it said that like the swaps that your dynamic fees would apply to, which is L1 swaps within an affiliate, tag, is about 1/3 of volume. And so
Yeah,
we're
but
like, it would not apply to. Sorry, go ahead.
you're miscalculating there, because you're looking at what the current fee is, not what dynamic fee turned on, because dynamic fee would change the outcome of how much L1 volume we have. You agree? Yeah, you agree with that, right?
I don't know if I do. Just like to my first order thinking is our volume should pretty linearly match, like, let's call it, I'm just going to call it native volume, like, which is, we can, for this conversation, will just be L1 volume, because, just for, let's say a retail swapper wants to go from Bitcoin to ETH, right? Then there's about, it's really technically, Bitcoin to Rune to ETH. And so if we just look at, 100K from Bitcoin to ETH, that's actually about 400K of swap volume on THORChain, because it's dislocating the pools 100K, and then the ARBs come back and dislocate or relocate it back. So the Bitcoin Rune pool is 100K and then 100K, and then the ETH Rune pool is 100K and 100K. So 100K of like retail swap volume turns into 400K of THORChain total volume, and I think that's pretty linear. Like, that just is what it is. And so the ARB volume is,
Yeah, but
I think.
you're discounting the idea that if the dynamic fee we're at 10 basis points today, which is what the numbers that you're going off of, and if dynamic fee puts it at 5 basis points, which is obviously lower and would generate more volume, and it's going to find the happy medium between all that, whatever produces the most volume, then you would have theoretically twice the amount of fees or swap volume, because the fees
Okay,
is
well,
cutting. So you're not accounting for
I'm
that. That's what I'm saying.
okay. I'm open to that possibility, but I am saying that Cow's experiment does not support that conclusion, nor does a natural experiment that whenever we first introduced um, the L1 min bit slip Mimir, because the problem is that we were too efficient. We were streaming swaps. My favorite feature you've ever made was too efficient. We were executing at about 3 bips. We weren't monetizing the flow. And so if you guys recall, we tried to go to 15, but we forgot that would count double leg. So it ended up being like 30 bips in practice, right? And we monetize, so volume went down, so we did less swaps, but we made way more revenue. And then, and that's just against our own volume. And then if you look at global volume, it's even more beneficial. So, and yeah, I have this all in Discord. You can actually look at the different numbers, but both So I looked at 3 different 2-month buckets for that natural experiment of when we were briefly at 15 min bips, and then we went down to 8. So we were at 3, then 15, then down to 8. And so those are 3 2-month buckets. And it said that it was more profitable to be higher min bips. And then Cow's experiment, which, yeah, was about a 1-week period each time, also says it was more profitable to be at higher min bips. So yes, even though if you lower the fees, you're going to get more volume. Every historical period I've looked at shows it's still net profitable to have
Yeah, but
higher min bips.
right, but sorry, Danny, you've been raising your hand for a while. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And this is a great conversation. I just had a quick question. Kenton, maybe you can let me know. When Cow did his experiment, was STO a thing? I cannot remember. You're not.
Sorry,
I can't hear you, buddy.
Unmute. Yes and no. So technically, STO went live in September of 2025. But for those first couple months, it really wasn't getting any volume. It wasn't until that third week in November, that was the next major update that went through, that we saw volume pick up considerably and then stayed up. So for the last 5 weeks of 2025 is when volume is actually recognizable on STO. Before, let's say before mid-November, the volume was nil. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
the reason why I asked that, and I raised my hand, I'm sorry. So there's a previous, I didn't mean to derail you boys at all. I'm sorry. When I raised my hand, that's when we were kind of talking about that, is when the experiment was taking place, we weren't really full in control of our distribution. And I wonder if STO now existing a 0 affiliate fee interface, if that actually changes the parameters in a way to warrant a new experiment. That was mainly my question, but
Right.
I'll stop there.
I think that's my kind of general point, is that why you can't have a globalist idea about what the min bips should be at 15 or 20 or whatever the number you want to say, is because when you set it to 20, for example, set it really high, people who are going to swap.thorchain.org are probably just going to swap whatever. Like, they're not paying that close of attention. They're not shopping across different UIs and, for the most part, right? And so you get more fees collected from the STO kind of user interface because there's like no competition there, but it's basically. But then you get less, from SwapKit because we're getting beaten by Near, and we're getting beaten by Chainflip and blah 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 and whatever else. And so, like, having a globalist idea of what the min bips should be is always helping. Whether you're raising it or you're lowering it, you're getting more in one place and less in another place. And that's kind of what my hope is with the dynamic fee model, is that we optimize on each individual affiliate. And some are going to be higher. Like, maybe on STO, it's naturally going to climb to 20 bips or 50 bips or something, whatever the number is going to be. The protocol will do a statistical analysis to figure out what that number is. And maybe in a Ledger Live, it'll be 5 basis points. I don't know, but I think it's.
May I cut in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand, but like, I think you're discounting how much of our revenue comes from ARB flow. And right now,
this is not an ARB conversation. I don't give 2 shits about ARBs within the context of like how we charge.
Well, you
fee
should, because
ARB is not income. We cannot think about ARBs as income. That's just not.
Yeah, I'm not talking about ARBs as income. I'm talking about the volume that ARB activity generates and the fees that ARB activity generates.
Yeah, you're talking about ARBs as income. You just say you're not talking about ARBs as income. Then you talked about the fees that ARBs generate in the same sentence.
Like, well, then why are you trying to say I can't talk about that?
Because I don't consider ARBs to be a source of revenue, even though technically on paper, yes, they're paying into the protocol, but they're also extracting value out of the protocol through the LPs.
I'm saying, all right, right now, ARBs are paying, I think, 5 bips, right? Or 10, whatever it is, they're paying 10. If we make them pay 20, and that's volume that's not going anywhere.
And then we dislocate the price as well, right? Because you can't.
Exactly. Yes, that is no. I mean, I think what I'm saying is the dislocating the price, even though it's like, that's bad, it's actually net profitable to do. So we should dislocate the price to a greater extent, and we will better monetize we'll make more money, even though the price is more dislocated.
So I don't consider ARB like swaps to be actual income to the protocol, because they are swapping X and they're getting out Y, and Y is always bigger than X. Otherwise, it wouldn't be making the trade. They're extracting value at the end of the day, not adding value, right?
I feel like we're just really talking across each other and are like.
Well, I just want
What
you to
I'm saying
acknowledge the
is-
fact that when ARBs swap, they're putting in X, $10, and they're getting out 12. And they're extracting value. Every ARB transaction on all cases is putting in X and getting out Y, and Y is always larger than X. They're not contributing to the protocol. They are extracting. They're getting paid for inserting pricing information into our pools. They're getting paid to do so. That's why they do it.
No, but like that was literally the design. Like the whole design was that ARBs would keep the prices where they're supposed to be.
Right. But you cannot consider them to be income to the protocol because they're getting paid by the protocol. Do you know what I'm saying? This is why I don't care about ARBs in the context of this.
Yes. In your example that you just raised, the X versus Y, yeah, the fact that Y is greater than X, that's how they make money, right? But they're also paying the slip fee when they do that. So it's not just extracting; they're also paying the protocol to make.
What is the net? What is the net? Are they net adding value or net removing value?
Net adding.
But they take out more than they put in.
Yeah, but
so why are they net adding if they're extracting more?
Native swappers are putting in more than they take out, right? A native swapper dislocates the price. All an arbor does is relocate the price. So it's net zero. Well,
exactly.
It's zero. It nets out the same. It's like, yes, the native swapper dislocates the price, and then the arbor relocates the price. I don't see how you can consider price relocation to be extractive. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because the L1 puts in X and gets out Y, Y being smaller than X. Say they lose, let's say they lose $50 in the trade,
right?
An ARB will swap and they'll correct the price and they'll take out
and so
$25 or something
from
like this.
THORChain's perspective, it nets to zero.
On the L1, not nets to zero because there is a profit at the end of the day.
Well, right.
But like all the profit is coming from the L1 side. It's not coming from the ARBs arbing. We're not making money off of the ARBs.
Yes, we did.
We're losing money to the ARBs.
We're just going in circles now. I guess we see things
we're
very
paying
differently.
them money. Well, you haven't made a reasonable argument against my literally obvious fact that we pay them money to put pool information, price information to the pools. We give them money. We don't.
No,
we receive some money. They do pay swap fees, but we extract
I'm going to try
more.
one more time, but then we're just going in circles here. Let's say I think of it as three actors. There's the native swapper, there's THORChain, and then there's the arbor. The protocol makes its min fees on both sides. We get the native swapper, we get our 10 bips off the native swapper, and then we also get the 10 bips off the arbor. So we get paid from both of those two actors, and then the money.
Where does the ARB make the money?
From the native swapper. From the native swapper. He doesn't make it off of THORChain's back. He makes it off the native swapper's back.
It's most accurate to say that it makes it off the LP's back, most specifically.
I don't agree with that.
Because that's who they're extracting the value, that they're interacting with the pool. They're putting in X, getting out Y. They're reducing the value of the pool when the person who's exposed to that is the LP.
But the person who makes the pool have that value to be reduced is the native swapper. The native swapper loses value to the pool, and then the ARB takes that value back. The pool, at the end of the day, is neutral. Like the native swapper added, the ARB's removed, the pool breaks even. So the arbor.
Yeah, but why you were like. You're disagreeing with yourself. You're saying that the arbor extracts value, but then you're also saying it adds value. And I'm just like, it can't be both on net, right? It has to be one.
Yeah, we're talking about two different things.
Right?
Like there's the price dislocation, which is how the arbor makes money, and then there's also the slip fee that all swappers pay to THORChain. And so the slip fee is why both the arbor and the native swapper are value adding to THORChain, and then the fact that the price dislocates is like that's neutral to THORChain. And anyway, but again, if we don't see things the same way, we just don't see things the same way.
So what is your ask at the end of the day? You want to have what? You want to raise the min bips for secured or trade assets so that ARBs remove less value from the protocol.
Yeah, I want to do a short-term experiment of 2 weeks or a month of raising min bip slip to 20 from the current 10. And I expect that to allow THORChain to better monetize global exchange volumes. And if it doesn't, then I'm wrong.
I love this conversation because people who are maybe unfamiliar with our community, this is literally how THORChain was made, is really intense conversations we had back in the day. I think we're much more ideologically aligned, but you can see how passionate we can get about specific topics, you guys. So if you're watching like, oh my God, this is direct. No, this is how it works. And I think this is a very interesting back and forth that was very educational to the audience. So I really appreciate you boys hacking it out. I know you both really respect each other, but it's just it's a really fun conversation on the nuances on the edges. So yeah, I know, Kenton, were you going to say something? And I hope I didn't cut you off. Or
No, I didn't. I was going to agree with you. This is what I miss about Discord. People used to be going back and forth, and really hammering out ideas. And appreciate you guys keeping it attacking ideas, not each other.
Fuck you, Boone.
You guys wish.
Yeah. Yeah. He is a handsome dude. No homo, bro. But you are a handsome dude. You know what I mean?
That's good. Yeah, I'm
what he is.
really glad you came on, Boone. I hope the audience knows you guys are everyone's welcome to come up if you have ideas, things you want to talk about, whatever. This isn't just our show. This is for the community. So, Boone, I'm glad you came up to talk, and maybe I think we do kind of need to move on. I think you guys are going a bit in circles a bit. Did you have another topic or something else you wanted
just
to
this
touch on?
other
Boone?
feature that I propose, which is being able to apply fees on a per asset basis, which, particularly having Monero in mind. And yeah, I just think that's a really good idea to be able to target the Monero flows and charge more for them, because we'll have a functional monopoly on permissionless Monero swaps.
Yeah, the comedy here is that dynamic fee is designed to do both of the things you want, except for applying it to secured assets.
Well, I know, but again, it's funny. Like you were saying that the ARBs are extractive, but you're trying to charge them less fees. Like I want to charge ARBs more fees.
Yeah, the reason why I don't is because if you raise it to 20 bips or whatever, you dislocate the pool price from the market price, which makes it have more slippage.
Right, but when we have a
and makes it less
monopoly, that
competitive.
doesn't matter as much. Like it's okay that the price is worse because people are still willing to pay it.
Yeah, if you have a monopoly, I suppose in that case, we can raise and theoretically raise it to 50 bips.
Right. I think Monero should start at 50
LSI for
bips.
specifically that one particular asset in that one particular case. Theoretically.
Well, that's literally what I'm proposing.
Well, it's an interesting conversation, right? Because we did have a massive insolvency, right? And I think everyone's eager to see the POL really get going. You know what I mean? But yeah, to Kenton's point, I think we are going a little bit in circles here. I think we carry this on in Discord. But it's a really interesting conversation, you guys. And I thank you. Asaf, did you have anything you want to add? You've been a little quiet lately. I don't want you to feel like
he's more on the security side.
Me-
He doesn't want to get involved in these
Get
debates.
involved, Asaf. Throw in your points there, buddy.
Like for me, when you're talking about dynamic fees and other financial stuff, it's like it sounds for me like I talk about cryptography sounds to you. So I like I don't feel that I don't know enough about this subject to have anything meaningful to say. So
fair.
I'm just keeping quiet.
That's fair. Hey, Boone, real quick reminder, because you've been a significant part of the episode, please stick around so you update on your client side, so that Coke has good video to edit when he wakes up.
I will do my best.
Thank you, Boone. I really appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. I hope, yeah, no worries. We're coming on 2 hours.
You just leave your browser open for like a minute. When you leave,
I'm using the app,
the
and
studio.
I'm about to go to of all things, a dance lesson. So I hopefully I can do that, but I'll try.
You could do it
Maybe just
later,
leave
I
the app
think.
open then or something.
Yeah, I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. No hard feelings if it doesn't work out, brother. No big deal. Okay, we're coming on 2 hours, guys. I want to make sure, is there anything else that we need to cover or talk about? I'm
I
not seeing anything questions. Go ahead.
I do actually. We're talking about bug bounties earlier, and part of ADR 28 was offering the hacker a bounty. And so ADR 28 passed. There was a 10% bounty written in ADR. So is this official? How do we make it official? How do we announce this? Can I put it on Twitter? Has anybody hashed out how to actually, like, is there an address or some way for the attacker to reach us about if they're serious through the bounty?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably a good question for Alux. I think he has in his mind the plan around that. I'm not aware of the details.
Okay. All right. So we'll ask Alex then. It'd be nice to just, I mean, I know it's a long shot, but there was some other protocol. They offered a bounty. They got it. The attacker took it.
Mhm.
So maybe,
Always worth
you're
a shot.
telling me there's a chance, right? There's one in a million, right?
Well, it's like you don't really need to offer that. The attacker could just send the money back. There's not like, it doesn't require a conversation or something like that. I don't think so. But
Yeah.
right, like they can just do it. They don't need to be asked, or even like sign some contract, because obviously they're not going to do that either.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, we're up 2 hours. I don't see anything else, you guys, and always thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And Asaf, I really appreciate you joining as well. It's really nice to meet you digitally. Maybe one day we will meet in person. That'd be really cool, but no
Yeah.
pressure if not.
Well,
You seem like a really cool guy. Go ahead,
Thanks.
Kenton.
Sorry,
And,
I was going to say, maybe before we go, just Asaf, just one more thing about SodaLabs. Is there anything in general you want to tell us about SodaLabs? Anything cool you guys are working on, maybe outside of THORChain that we might be interested in?
Yeah.
This is your time to shine. Tell us
Yeah,
about Soda.
I actually plugged it in the beginning, but I'll say again, we have like our company has a product that deals with privacy on blockchains. Like we have been like conditioned to think that blockchains are like will forever be open, like without privacy, because we have to replicate all the data across all the participants. But that's not the case. SodaLabs uses advanced cryptography. Like we are doing MPC, but there are different flavors of MPC. What we are doing is called garbled circuits. I'm not gonna expand on the actual technology, but it's a very efficient way to do the multi-party computation. And what we provide to, like, the product is called Bubble. You can search for it in sodalabs.xyz. You can do private transactions on Ethereum, so you can have auctions, play games that require you to be to have confidentiality, like cards. You can do you can transfer funds, and I think that's the future of blockchain. That's the key to widespread adoption.
I agree with you. I think this is why privacy is becoming part of the narrative, is that big money wants it. They don't want to
Yeah.
share what they're doing. It's like any other human. Just everybody
Yeah.
wants, every decent person wants some basic privacy, right? It's not crazy to ask or expect. So,
Yeah.
what's crazy is, like you said, this radical publicity on the blockchains is crazy. That's unprecedented.
Yeah, I
100%.
wouldn't want my credit card published, like a monthly credit card report on the blockchain for everyone to see. It's like we've just been conditioned to think that it's not possible on blockchains, but it's mandated. Like we have to have it. Otherwise, we can't really engage financially with each other. Without privacy, it's it's exactly the same as having your credit card or your bank account completely open.
So, Asaf, I have to ask you, I got to put you on the spot. Does your privacy solution, does it have a backdoor?
Not as far as we know. I was
Okay, so it's
I was
real privacy. No
no,
one can
no.
see.
We've been talking about the legal implications with the lawyers. You know, we're truly private, and we are also adding anonymity. If you're asking me if we can decrypt information, so like currently nodes are under our control, but we're just developing. Like we are planning on decentralizing everything. So right now we have like two nodes communicating, doing MPC with each other. But as the network would grow, there would be multiple participants, and the participants would not be us. There would be like it would be open. So those participants would not be under our control, so we wouldn't be able to decrypt the information, and that's fine. That's good. That's the best. That's the best use case, I think, for privacy. Not privacy that somebody can just like open open the trap door and like look under the hood and see what you're doing. And also anonymity. It's also good because right now it's privacy without anonymity, but we're planning to add anonymity as well.
That's great. It's good to hear. I think you just won over the THORChain community because I talked to people in crypto that like in big projects too, and they're like bragging about their privacy. And I asked them, well, is there a back door? And they're like, oh yeah, of course. We have to comply. If the regulators come and ask, we have to be able to show them. It's like, well, it it it, defeating the whole point. So it's good to hear that you guys don't have that. So kudos
Yeah.
to you. Yeah.
Agree. I
Yeah.
have a question for you. I was looking on X. Do you guys have an X profile? Because I looked up SodaLabs and I got like 1 million responses, and I'm like, I was worried about scammers because I was thinking about putting you in the X tag. So, do you have an X profile at all for SodaLabs?
Yeah, it's for SodaLabs. We do have a X profile for SodaLab. I would just like have to just do I have to log into my X account and remember like the handle. It's not my personal account; it's the company's. So do you want
Does
me
it
to
have
do
a
it right
green
now?
circle, label, or is it like a can that it almost looks like a THORChain symbol, but there's multiple of them, so I think it's a scam. That's why I was scared to. You can tell me what the avatar looks like.
1 second, 1 second.
No big deal, man. No big deal. Yeah.
I saw that I think Near just actually launched a privacy component to what they were doing, which I was surprised to see, to be honest, because they're like,
I guarantee there's a backdoor.
Yeah. Soda
guarantee.
Bubble
yeah,
Labs. Sorry. If you see the green circle and it says at Soda Bubble Labs, that's actually because there are other companies called Soda Labs. By the way,
Got it.
Sod in Hebrew is a secret. So Soda Labs, but we are fueled by soda water, like sparkling water. So the name has double meaning. So it's called
Gotcha.
Soda Bubble Labs.
At Soda Bubble Labs, you guys, if you want to follow Asaf here, and they're doing a really great job. It was really great having you on and learning more about you. And I hope I think you said your CTO. I hope he can come on the show at some point. We'd love to talk to him, especially as a cryptographer. I'd love to see the interactions between him and Chad and whoever else. That would be really cool.
The CTO and the CEO are very advanced.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like
Both.
yeah.
both of them are very advanced mathematicians from top degree universities.
That's
Well,
this.
maybe sorry, Danny. Maybe once THORChain, everything's calmed down, the TSS library is back to open source. We're kind of humming along. It'd be great to have you guys back, and we can do
Sure.
proper, just SodaLabs kind of space and meet you guys again. And yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. But like, if you want us again, like this time, our CEO couldn't join. CEO of a company is always busy. But if you want us back again, just give us a shout out, and we'll be happy to. And thank you for inviting me on. It was very fun, nice experience. Happy to meet you guys online. putting putting the face on the Discord nickname handle. So I've had a incredible time. It was very nice. So thank you again. Um, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. And for the
Absolutely.
audience, maybe you guys, Asaf and I have been talking for, I don't know, about several months now about doing this. And we finally just were able to make it happen. So, um, so thanks for being in touch with me, Asaf, and being willing to do this. And thank you for all the work you do on THORChain.
Thank you.
And
So
go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
I'm just I just want to say goodbye, but you were about to say something.
Well, I'm about to wrap up the show. If there's nothing else, you guys, we're going on 2 hours. I know Chad, he's very generous with his time, and I know Boone. Hey, Boone. Yeah. What do you guys think? Should we wrap up the show?
I actually thought of one
Yeah,
small
wrap it
little
up.
thing. Sorry to throw you a curveball.
That's
But
okay.
it shouldn't
That's okay,
require
buddy.
much conversation. I just want to encourage the whole community to take a look at Devil's base layer limit orders, which are not the same as Chad's base layer limit swaps. They play nice together. Devil's limit orders do not go across two legs, which Chad's does. So they are complementary towards each other. But I think that could be the solution we've been looking for capital efficiency, and would love for people to try to pick it apart.
Get in the Discord, guys. Pick it apart. That's what we do the best. Competing ideas, meritocracy here. We're all doing this together. Anyone can contribute to THORChain. And I'm just so thankful, Chad, and all the developers. You guys are so generous with your time. Thank you guys working so hard. And Boone, thank you for coming up and not only giving us content, but just showing how how it's all made, how it happens. The meritocracy, ruthless ideas. So we all have very we have strong opinions loosely held, right? That's what we are. And we're all just doing the best we can every single day. Okay, guys, I think we're going to wrap it there. Please stick around, you guys. Let's wrap this up. If you'd guys like to become a node operator and need some help, please reach out to @RuneTard on X. He can help you get set up and find new bond providers. We'd love to have you. For THORChain data and insights, follow @Ray Analytics on X. He does these really great written recaps of these podcasts, so give him a follow. He does it for free, and he's also very helpful on many others. So thank you again, Ray. I really appreciate you. And always remember, guys, the views expressed here are solely of the hosts and guests. Any action taken based on the information is at your own risk. Past performance is not indicative of future results. The THORChain community does not endorse or condone illicit activity of any kind. And you mentioned Asaf. I'll just say it. Privacy is still a human right at the end of the podcast. That's how we do it, you guys. All right, everybody. Hope everyone has a great rest of your week. We will see you Saturday. And on Saturday, we're going to be having Deving Zone Severin. We're going to be talking with him. So look forward to that. Take care, guys. And we'll see you Saturday. Bye now.